Hi numerologist fans, welcome back to numerologist.com. I'm here once again with the wonderful Kelli Fox, and today we're going to be talking about the next new moon in Cancer, which is on the 20th of July. So firstly, hi Kelli.
Hi Rose, thanks for having me here.
No, thank you for joining us once again. So let's dive right into it. Can you tell me, what is this new moon in Cancer on the 20th of July going to bring?
Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm going to break this down into really small pieces. So the new moon in Cancer is the first major lunar phase after eclipse season. So we've been going through this major eclipse season, which started June 5th. We had, like the full moon lunar eclipse in Sagittarius. So it was all about freedom seeking and looking for answers really. And then we had the new moon solstice on the solstice. That was June 20th, June 21st. So it's all about new beginnings, new directions. Then we had the final of the third eclipses. It was the lunar eclipse full moon in Capricorn. So that's all about structures and stability and how we are out in the world. So then when we bring it back to this new moon in Cancer, July 20th, it's all about a focus on home and family. So we've all been out in the world, we've been dealing with our stuff, we've been trying to get these like solid, steady, stable foundations. We're thinking about our future more than usual. And now the focus is on home and family. But many of us are forced to do that because this new moon in Cancer, typically new moon in Cancers are about emotions, home and family. But this particular new moon in Cancer will be supercharged. So the reason being is because it opposes, or it's opposite, Jupiter, Saturn and Pluto. So they're pretty hard, heavy hitters. And so the theme of 2020 has been the Saturn-Pluto conjunction. So Saturn and Pluto are together once again around this new moon in Cancer. And what it brings in with it is Jupiter. And Jupiter in this sense is the planet of excess. So the key words for this new moon in Cancer is going to be give a little, take a little, take a little, give a little. It's really about finding that balance, finding the middle ground, having compromise, and it's to do with work-life balance as well for many people, especially for the cardinal signs. And the cardinal signs are Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. So what that means is 2020 is a year of change and transformation. It's like this is the transitional year before we move into something new. So, July is another one of those months where it's like we're going to be walking through a portal, and we're going to be doing it emotionally because this new moon in Cancer is very emotionally charged. And new moons are all about new beginnings. So the last new moon we had was the solar eclipse in Cancer. So this is basically the second new moon in Cancer, not in a calendar month, but, one after the other, which is actually quite rare. And what we have, if you've ever heard of the term blue moon, people say, oh, once in a blue moon, which means hardly ever. But a blue moon technically means 2 full moons in a calendar month. Whereas this new moon, the 2 new moons are not in a calendar month, but they're basically both in Cancer. It's quite unusual, this event, to have 2 new moons, one after the other in the same sign. And the only way that can occur is if the first new moon is early in the sign and the second new moon is late in the sign. So this new moon is going to be at 28 degrees Cancer, which is, 2 days before we all move into Leo season. So the reason that this new moon is a big deal, this lunation, is because new moons are the start of a cycle. It represents the darkness, because if you take symbolically what it looks like up in the sky, you can't see the moon. It's like the sky is dark. there is no moon because the light of the moon is not reflective to us at the moment. So, it's basically sowing the seeds for new beginnings. So we can start planting the seeds. And if it's anything to do with home or family or roots or ancestry, even financial decisions at this time might not be such a bad thing because, Cancer, the crab, is a very financially savvy sign. So, a lot of people think, Cancer, the crab's all about home and family and mothering, and which it is. But really beyond that, it's definitely financially savvy. So if we look at our finances at this time, and especially now that Mercury is no longer retrograde, yay, yay, yay. So it's like finally we're done with that Mercury retrograde. Mercury is now in Cancer, which is great for finances. New moon in Cancer, great for finances. The only spanner in the works here is the Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto opposite the new moon. So in other words, that represents authority, rules, structure, regulation, discipline, boundaries. It is change and transformation, but it's also power and control. So in some ways, when we pull it back into our own lives and what's going on for us personally, is very much about finding that balance with what works for us while still being within the rules, while still not being manipulated or controlled by outside forces or by others.
Yeah, excellent. And one question, what you just said, it prompts me to ask is all about the degrees. So you mentioned that the new moon that we had in June must have been earlier in the sign, and this new moon must be late. So is there a significance? Does it change things depending on where it is in the sign, or is it just new moon in Cancer?
Yeah, very much so. So what it means is that depending on the degree, and you've got 30 degrees in a sign, you've got 0 to 29. And so what that means is that because this new moon is at 28 degrees Cancer, I know that Jupiter, Saturn and Pluto are around 28 degrees Cancer. So that's what makes it really significant. So each month, when we talk about new moons and full moons, I'll be looking at the degrees, and then I'll say, for example, I know, next new moon, there's Mars involved. So that adds another ingredient to this new moon recipe, that sort of thing. So this new moon, part of that recipe is, the Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto opposition. So that adds in a whole nother dimension. Whereas if it was just a new moon without any other planetary involvement, it would just be, a regular old new moon. I'm saying that in jest because, the new moons and full moons, they're the major cycles, and a lot of people are very, there's rituals to be had around these lunations, and, new moons are about new beginnings. So if you want something to get started at this time, particularly around home and family, this is the time to set your intentions. This is the time to plant the seed. This is the time to light the candle, or whatever it is that, you may do with that. This is the time in the whole year to start something new around home and family.
Yeah, excellent. That's really exciting to hear what's happening in this new moon. So I do this every time, but I'm going to put you on the spot and ask you to sum up the new moon. I don't know if you can do it in one word, but see if you can sum up the new moon and maybe give people one piece of advice going into it.
You did put me on the spot.
Sorry.
I'm joking. No, I'm not. I'm sort of half joking. So to sum up the new moon, it really is about its emotions. Oh, and here's the other thing with this new moon. Now I'm off on a tangent. Here's this other thing with the new moon. The moon rules the sign of Cancer. So you've got this very, very strong energy of the moon. Like the moon, but without the Jupiter, Saturn and Pluto, the moon is happiest at this moment with the new moon in Cancer. It's the happiest it's going to be all year. I mean, that's not hard in a year that we're having, right? But it's like this new moon in Cancer is one of the happiest periods it could be in. Now, when you pull in that other ingredient of Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, it's sort of like, eh. So to sum it up, it's very much about a focus on the home and family and new beginnings around home and family.
Okay, perfect. Well, I think that summed things up really nicely. So I think we'll end it there, Kelli.
Okay.
Thank you once again for talking about this new moon. And make sure you guys join us next time, where we'll be talking about the full moon in Aquarius, which is on the 3rd of August. Geez, I can't believe we're in August already.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rose.
Thanks again, Kelli.